What is going on, everybody? It is another Wednesday, so that means another episode of the Eagles Elite Podcast. I am your host, Wyatt. As you can see, Cool McCain is not here this week. He is celebrating his birthday, and of course, you know how busy he is. He deserves a day off. So, I'm hosting the show today. We do have a couple, regulars on here. Of course, Eagle Diva is going to be joining the show here. What's going on, Eagles Diva?
What's going on? Another week. Talk about another W. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. And we also got Key. Key is in the building. How you doing?
What's going on, y'all? I told y'all I was gonna be here today. I told y'all so.
Yeah, because you was tardy last week.
Yeah, dang on kids had to feed them.
The boy can feed itself.
But yeah, as everybody knows, we had a nice solid win against the Washington Commanders. Everybody thought this was kind of a prove-it game for the Philadelphia Eagles, but of course, following the team, we know it wasn't a prove-it game. We knew what this team was going into this one. But before we get into everything, you know what we got to do. We got to set the tone for the show here.
The kick is away, and the kick it's gone! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. We just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
Yes, sir. Setting the tone right for the show here. Before we get everything, got a couple comments. Little G, thanks for watching the show here. Says he's a big fan of the Eagles 2024 season. Better Eagles beat those Rams. Hey, I'm hoping we can go out here and set the tone early in this game, because that's something haven't been able to do most of these games this season. And we also got Philly in the building, of course. Tough game Sunday. Fly Eagles fly. Yep. Go Birds. Fly Eagles fly. Yeah, so we'll get into the Rams game and everything towards the back half of the show like we always do, but we have to start off first with some Eagles updates. Do any of you have some Eagles updates? I know I normally do it, but since I'm hosting, I don't know if either of you wanted to have any news.
I know Josh Huff is going to be out. They didn't say for how long. He had wrist surgery, so that means we'll probably see some more of Nolan, and Jalix Hunt will probably get some more playing time. Cubby looks like he's back, so he'll be back there taking back to his regular duties, because he was cooking before he got hurt. So let's see if he can break one, because I know Cooper almost kind of did. I think that's all I got right now. I think that's all that really happened. I know
light and limited practice because of
right, and Devontae didn't because of the hamstring. So we'll see if he's a go.
Yeah, and I guess Jalen was limited. They didn't say it was rest this week. Maybe they kind of talked to Sirianni. Yeah, they're saying that was the ankle injury from like a week or so ago. Whenever they marked it down as rest, and Sirianni mentioned it was an ankle injury during the press conference, and they're like, "Hey, wait a minute, man, we can't be saying that out here. It was a rest." But from what Jalen said, it was just kind of like a conditioning sort of thing. I guess I don't know how he exactly described it, but I guess there was other players that were going through it as well. It was more of conditioning, like lower body type thing. So he says, from what he's saying, he's going to be full participant tomorrow and the rest of the week going into the game, along with a couple of the other guys. But Covey was a full participant in practice, the only person that was full participant that was, on the injury report previously. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Covey. Like, are they going to put him back at returner? Are they going to have him as like the number 3, like in the slot? Because we have Dotson now since that happened and everything. So I don't know what's going to happen there.
Please don't.
Kobe, you going back to your job, boy. That's punt returning.
Yeah. Save Cooper a little bit. Have him just in the secondary. That's it. But there was a couple other roster moves. We ended up signing defensive tackle Siaki Ika. I don't really have much knowledge of this dude. And then we released wide receiver Kyle Phillips from the practice squad as well. So not too many moves. Of course, you mentioned Bryce Huff. He's going to be out. I haven't seen anything regarding like him being on IR. So I don't know if that's going to be coming like maybe tomorrow or the next day, or maybe they're expecting him to be back within the four 4 weeks. Who knows? But I mean, with surgery on your hand, I don't know what's going to happen there. Because I mean, that happened like right before the trade deadline during practice, they're saying. So it's interesting they waited this long to finally give him surgery when maybe Howie could have went out and made another move to get us another defensive tackle or an edge if they knew that he may possibly miss some time down the road. So I mean, that was kind of a missed opportunity in my opinion.
Right.
But other than that, go ahead, Key.
Put Saquon Barkley's hurdle in Madden.
Yeah, I saw that. That was quick. That was real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So
it looks good though too. I saw the videos of it.
Yeah.
The only other real news I have here is Eric Allen is a semifinalist once again for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2025. He is in the Eagles Hall of Fame and everything, but he isn't in the official Pro Football Hall of Fame. I believe he's been on the ballot once or twice before. I say it's about time to put him in there.
I mean, really, I don't know what they've been waiting on.
I don't either. It's crazy. So, I mean, that's all the news I really have as far as this week, other than just kind of the injury report, which kind of already mentioned. So we might as well get into what we normally do. We got to go into the weakest link of the Washington game on Thursday night. It was a huge game for the division. We now 1.5 games up on Washington, going forward here. So hopefully the Eagles can keep that spot, keep a nice little distance between us and that number 2. And then we're going for that number 1 there in the NFC here with the Detroit Lions being 1 game up above us. We sit in at number 2 there. So as far as this Washington game, who is your weakest link of this game? We'll start with Key on this one.
Between me and my heart palpitations in that game, nobody comes to I'm sure somebody's going to come back to me. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that O-line in the first quarter, first half, because we could not get anything going. Jalen just did not look comfortable for a while. He kept getting sacked, kept holding the ball too long. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with that O-line, the whole O-line in the beginning.
Okay. You got one, Key?
I don't want to put him as a weak link, but he was suspect to me at times. Maybe that second half he got it together. I'm gonna say Jalen.
Okay. That's fair.
I don't know where he was throwing to. I don't know who called that stupid play. I don't know if they tried to do a flea flicker or something. I don't know what it was, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
He was holding on to the ball too long. Like I said, in that first half, he was killing me. So, but he pulled it out. He pulled it together in the second half. So I'm gonna just say Jalen for right now could be the weakest link.
Okay. You know who called that play. Come on now. Don't play like you don't know who called that play. And we know who called that play. We know that was Nick.
I'm going to go with the obvious one. I'm going to say Jake Elliott in this. I mean, Jake, you can't be out here missing all these field goals like you have. And I mean, I think we give you a pass not only because he's hit so many clutch field goals before. He's won us numerous games with that foot of his. But also because looking around at the NFL over the course of this past week, there were so many kickers that were missing field goals. I mean, you had Tucker out here missing them. So, I mean, it makes you feel a lot better.
As well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it makes you feel a little bit decent about it. And it's not like it was kind of erratic, like all over the place. It was just kind of veering left a little bit.
Well, the
but he was able to get a couple.
But still, I'm like, dang, Jake, man, I think because he ain't been used like that this year. And Jake was just chilling, like,
Right. You got to keep your kickers on and keep their leg hot. And Nick's been eating snacks. Jake's been eating snacks.
Mm-hmm. Darn leg was cold and broke.
Yeah, straight up. I mean, all these weeks of just going for 2 or, running short, going into the red zone and have to punt. He hasn't had a lot of work as far as Jake Elliott is concerned. So he had 6 field goals he had to kick, including extra points or something like that. But it was a decent amount of points that were left off the board due to those misses,
7.
though. Luckily, we were able to put some more points up on the board, but that would have helped.
Jake, you can't be doing that. You had us thinking that Nick Sirianni was doing the right thing by going for it on 4th down. Come on now. Come on now.
No, don't think that. No.
He straight had us questioning ourselves in the group chat. Oh man, we got somebody else in here. We got King DV. What's going on, man?
Stop ball! Snap! Look at Phil!
What up, though? What up?
What's going on, King DV?
Back here listening to y'all talk about Jake, man. Don't do Jake like that, man. Look, Nick Sirianni broke that boy. No, Jake was the man. You know, we did pay him. Nick Sirianni broke that dude. He broke him. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way that you go out like that, Jake. But he's gonna have a bounce back game this game. I believe it. I believe that he's gonna have a bounce back game. Nick Sirianni going for 2. You know, you can hate it, you can love it, but a lot of people are just how you just said, Diva. Hey, we questioning Nick Sirianni. Maybe he was right, but I don't think he was. I think that he should have just took the points. He should have just took the points. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I stand on Jake Elliott. And I think that he probably was out there after the game and just kicking. He didn't even want to go home.
Yeah,
he missed phone calls from his wife. He's just kicking the ball.
So lights was cut off in the stadium, still kicking.
Right
out here kicking 200 balls a day at practice now each day, probably. Do you have a weakest link for the game, DV?
Weakest link?
The weakest link. Like, who was the weakest player of the game?
Let's say it's hard. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. How did everybody else say before I got?
I mean, I said Jake Elliott. Key said Jalen, like within the first half. Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, in the first half.
In the first half, yeah.
I said the whole O-line in the first half.
Yeah.
I'm back here. I don't think he's gonna have a bad game. I don't think Jalen Hurts is gonna have a bad game. It's gonna be on defense. It's gonna be on defense.
Who do you think is the elite performance of the game? In the Washington game?
You all know who that is.
Whoever wants to go first. I don't know who. Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter.
Okay.
Yeah. I said that's gonna be my player of the game. I think that he's gonna have 2 sacks. That sack, I still think about that sack that he had on Matthew Stafford. That I thought it was too violent of a sack, but yeah, I think he's gonna have 2 sacks on him.
Who do you think was the player of the Washington game?
Yeah, your elite performance for the Washington game.
Elite performance of the Washington game.
Cam Jurgens. Because everybody's gonna say Saquon. Everybody's gonna say Saquon Barkley, but if you look at the all 22, Cam Jurgens put on. He looked like Kelsey Jr. out there. He did.
We said that numerous times over this season. Just the way that how fast he's running with that line. It looks like a lot like Jason Kelsey over these past couple of years.
Listen, he better. Listen,
you
play behind Jason Kelsey, ain't no excuse.
You handpicked by the man himself.
Right.
What about you, Diva?
I'm gonna go with Vic Fangio. Like Vic has been outstanding with these boys. They have bought into a system. He knows the strengths of the guys on the defense. He knows where to put them, when to put them in, and just how he's running the defense all together. Like, I mean, we went from number 24, 29th ranked to number 6, number in the top numbers, right? So he has done wonders with this defense. It's been a while since we've seen this defense eat the way they've been eating and adjusting the way they've been adjusting. So Vic is my elite performer of the game.
Okay. What about you, Key?
Guantanamo Bay. Mr. Quinyon Mitchell. He even said it. He said he likes that for his nickname now. So shut down Scary Terry. I don't think he even had a catch. If he did, I think it was one, and it wasn't when he was on Mitchell. I think he was on the other side.
Cool. That was cool.
So he got one catch, but when Quinyon was on him, nothing. So Quinyon Mitchell is my elite player this game.
Surprised you didn't go with white chocolate.
I started.
I thought you was
going to. I was going to, but I was going to give Quinyon some love.
I knew he was going after one of them. I knew he was going after one of them. That's why I ain't saying that. I try to go outside the box.
I'm gonna go with Zach Bond, who could easily be like the player of the game over the past 6 weeks or so. Man, he is just flying around, playing at an elite level. Probably one of the best linebackers we've had on the team in years at this point. And I don't understand how this dude hasn't been signed to extension already. Like, what are you doing
now?
Make it happen. Make it happen. He's making big plays on a weekly basis consistently. He was part of the stop there on 4th down and 3rd down on a couple times. But I mean, that's a credit to this whole defense, though. And like you're saying, Diva with Vic Fangio, he has these guys playing at an elite level. Even like we saw at the beginning of the season, it was a little rusty, but once everybody kind of got used to the system, everybody was getting healthy. Cooper DeJean came into the fold. It seems like, I mean, obviously we're the number 1 defense in the league as of right now. It's as far as like NFL is saying and all these other like Bleacher Report and such. And that's for good reason. I mean, they're out here flying around. They're actually tackling. It's something we haven't seen this defense do in quite some time. Obviously we had the sacks in 2022, but as far as like the secondary is concerned and shutting a lot of these receivers down, we haven't seen something like this on the squad in a while.
And we have no more middle holes, no more donuts in the middle. Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Saints is like, what did we do?
And nobody.
Why didn't
and
we
nobody even seen this coming. Nobody seen this coming either. You know, Nakobe Dean was getting slack, you know, just by being available, and then also his height. And he's been playing like a bigger linebacker. Zach Bond, we didn't know who this guy was. We just thought that he was a special teamer and everything. And look what he's doing. As soon as the news came out that, you know, he was supposed to be like an outside linebacker, you know, how we seen him as that. And then Vic got a hold of him and said, look, no, inside linebacker. He's going to be Van Ginkel. And look what he's doing, you know, a Pro Bowl season so far. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people didn't see this coming. And then on top of that, our second weaknesses, especially last season, was our secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Can't say that this year. You know, after like a lot of people don't talk about it, but after the bye, CJ Gardner-Johnson hasn't missed a tackle.
Yeah.
CJ Gardner-Johnson's been playing way better after the bye week. So
Gilly been
looking
on
like that Super Bowl season itself.
And yeah, because CJ Gardner-Johnson, man, the game I went to against the Saints, he looked lost out there. He really did. But after the bye, you know, I can see a huge improvement from him. And he's actually being one of those voices, those leaders in the locker room. You've seen it in the unscripted when, you know, he was mic'd up. Reed Blankenship, you know, he gets the same type of interceptions every time.
Same diving interceptions.
It's so weird.
Yeah, I just need Q to catch one, man, and then
That's
I think
it.
start coming.
I keep saying it every week. Like once he gets one, I feel like the floodgates are going to open. He's going to end up getting them balls at that point.
Right. But the secondary was a weakness last season, not this season. This season, they got us ranked at number 1 right now. You know, it's a slight edge, but you know they got us ranked at number 1 right now in a Vic Fangio scheme that was ranked 10th with the Dolphins last season. So you know we looking good. We looking good, and I think that you know we got some tough guys here. Not unlike Miami, who wanted Vic out because he was just too tough of a coach, and he would sit you. He don't care how much you make. So I think the only guy that he got slight for because he don't have no other option is Slay. But besides that, because Slay was playing horrible in the beginning, and then he started to pick it up.
No place.
He started to pick it up. But then he gets hurt. So I think he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out right at this point. But you know when he's in, we can still be stronger. A lot of us want to see Isaiah Rodgers make plays and be that guy because he's hungry to be that guy, especially sitting a year out. No Killing Ringo. I think that Killing Ringo needs to be a safety. I think he needs to be converted because I just don't like the way he moves on speedy receivers. Really don't. I don't want to see Avonte Maddox and Bradbury on this team ever again.
Anytime I see Avonte Maddox out there, I'm like, what are you doing? Get this man off the field. It seems like there's always some sort of big play or something happens when Avonte's on the field now.
We should have stuck with playing one. We let him go. I don't even know why we re-signed the dude. Like, should just let that boy be gone.
Yeah.
Let him play special teams.
Retro presence. That's why. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Then in training camp they was like, oh, we're gonna have James Bradbury and Avonte Maddox try out for safety, because it was nothing else. But then you had him starting because Coop got hurt. Then Coop gets in, but then in the biggest plays, Avonte Maddox come in, and then it's a double penalty on Avonte Maddox.
We haven't heard one word about Bradbury since before the season started. This dude, I think, is still on IR.
We just need him to be home. Man, send that boy home. Keep him at home. We just waiting so we can get rid of this dead cap he got. That's all. That's how we doing. That's all it is.
I think so. But to go back to what you're saying about Nakobe Dean, how like people weren't expecting this kind of season out of him, I think the same thing could be said about Nolan Smith as well. I think we all kind of had our reservations about him, and over these past couple weeks, even though he's kind of undersized for an edge rusher, he has the speed and ability to get around guys, and it seems like it's paying off. He has like 3.5 sacks, I think, over the past couple weeks. And that's a credit to the defensive line as a whole, because I think a lot of people were kind of worried about us not getting pressures or getting sacks. It seems like we're not getting a ton of sacks each week, but we're getting a couple, but we're getting way more pressure than we were at the beginning of the season as well. We're getting to the quarterback a lot faster than they were in the first couple of games of the season, especially after this bye here now. And that definitely helps the secondary out too, in a way.
Mm-hmm. And that's how it was in 2022. We was getting a lot of pressure, a lot of sacks and everything like that. And then interceptions came about, even Bradbury got to, go to the Pro Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think. I think that, that's what we just got to have, that balance. And we're getting there. We're getting there, because I still think that we can still play a little bit better and tighten up some things. But, we're getting there. We're ranked number 1 now, but, all it takes is a week. All it takes is a week. We guys still have our foot on the gas and keep moving forward and making the right plays. Like BG said, everybody was doubting them at 2-2, and I was like, look, it's a new scheme. Everybody didn't play in the preseason training camp. It was, I'm not gonna say lackluster, but you're not trying to hurt nobody. I feel like that now they got their footing. And, they can't stop at this Rams game.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people just need to give some, not just the Eagles, but teams time in general at the start of the season, whether they play preseason or not. I remember my buddy who's a Patriots fan, years ago when Tom was still in New England, they would go 3-3 to start the season or something. And he's like, I'm not worried. We have a rough patch in the beginning, and then you start rolling after that point. I mean, you just got to give some teams time to, gel as far as defense or offense is concerned. I think the offense still needs to gel a little bit. I feel like Kellen Moore is getting a little bit more control week in and week out as we're going through. I feel like we haven't had as many, I wouldn't say, I'm just going to call them Nick sightings for the most part. We haven't had any plays where okay, Nick, you're screwing up here over the past couple weeks.
Your thing.
Yeah,
that's one.
So. That's one. Nothing too major, though.
That wasn't him. It wasn't him. We never seen Nick do anything like that. That was a Kellen Moore thing, and I don't never want to see that happen, because my quarterback had a mild concussion after that.
I 100% believe there was something wrong with Jalen after that for a while.
Yeah.
McCain says, "Go Birds." What's going on, man?
What's going on,
birthday, man?
Going on, cool.
But I definitely think something was wrong with Jalen for a little bit out there. He definitely didn't seem like himself. He was throwing balls to the dirt, throwing them out. I mean, the receivers weren't helping him much either, because they weren't catching a lot of stuff that was thrown to him in that first half.
I think it was that first sack he took when he got thrown to the ground and he had dirt all in his dirt. He wasn't, I don't know, that I think that kind of discombobulated him, and then they got taken down at the darn in the red zone. I was like, oh Lord.
Yeah, two defenders fall on him, and his face went straight into the dirt. Please no. It gave me flashbacks to the Seahawks.
But you could tell he had Carson. You could tell he had a mild concussion, because AJ Brown, that drag route going out of bounds, he don't miss that.
No,
he don't.
We see it every week.
That throw, and it was way off. So after that, you could tell. You could tell that
they checked him. They said he was good. And I'm like, okay.
He said he was good.
It's because Jeff Lord slid that check then.
Cannot have Kenny Pickett in here, please.
Could not.
Right.
We definitely would have lost that game.
Yep.
So I mean, we can get
Beautiful
into the
game.
game a little bit further, just as far as like our Eagles versus Commanders review from the Thursday night. As everybody probably knows, Eagles won. The good guys won 26-18. Ended up a 1.5 game above, a 1.5 game lead in the NFC East, right exactly where we need to be. Top of the NFC East. As far as the game concerned, we'll start with Diva. What are your thoughts on the game as a whole?
I mean, of course, the offense started off real slow, real slow. Jalen was holding the ball way longer than I would like him to. Um, I wish he would stop when he rolls out of the pocket. I can't stand when he rolls backwards. Like, dude, roll forwards. You don't, and then he always want to roll like 6 yards back. Like, no, because you're gonna get sacked and we're gonna lose yardage. Like, roll forwards. And if nobody's open, just throw the ball out of bounds or tuck it and run. Like, he was just to the point where he was really holding the ball too long. He didn't look comfortable in the first half. I don't know what was going on with the O-line. Like, someone wasn't picking up their blocks, so he was getting sacked. It just wasn't a cohesive game in the beginning. We would be on a roll with the running game, and then we call something crazy, and then Jalen would hold the ball too long. So I wasn't feeling the first half. The defense kept us in there. If without the defense, we probably would have been down probably 14-0, especially with Jake not hitting those field goals. Jake had a bad game because he hasn't been used really that much this season. So I mean, you throw him in there, he's just like, oh, I'm going in here. So yeah. The offense and Jake just were not good in the beginning. But thankful to the defense being as dominant as they were. They were able to contain Jaden Daniels. They were able to contain the run game pretty well. I mean, they got a few yards, but nothing like they've been getting in the past weeks. And I could tell Vic Fangio really watched film on Washington the past few weeks, especially when the Steelers played them. I think he really took their blueprint and kind of seeing what they did on their defense and just made it better. So overall, I mean, finally, boy, without Saquon I'm telling you, without Saquon Barkley, I don't know where we would have been. That boy is electrifying. I mean, for him to just if he get in middle field, you can't tackle him. He gone. He gone. He out. Ain't nothing you can do about it. And for him to get those 2 touchdowns for us was amazing. AJ always open. You ain't really nothing you can do to stop Megatron, period. Smitty had some good catches. Dallas Goedert had that one catch where he fumbled the ball, and thank the Lord Calcaterra was right there to pick that thing up, because that could have been a disaster.
My heart sunk.
So, man, my heart was beating. I was like, oh my goodness.
Well, y'all seen
I had the blood pressure,
so you see my heart racing.
But yeah, I mean, we got it together, and I'm glad that we were able to come out with this W. But next week we got to be on point.
100%. What about you, Keith?
In the first half, first quarter was rocky. I just I appreciate the games when we can just play all 4 quarters. Like the Cowboys game, I mean, we came out solid on all 4 quarters. Just want a game when we come out in first quarter and actually play, like we got some sense. It was very slow. Jake missing those kicks, kind of the momentum killed us a little bit. But the second half, we woke up offensively. Defense kept us in the whole game, which I loved. And I'm just like, no, just don't get too tired to the point where we're going, they're going to break us. And then it's going to be a wrap after that. But the offense got it together. Saquon got it together. The line definitely got it together. That's so we can open up them holes. Especially Jurgens, like King said, I've seen some highlights where he was manhandling somebody. And I was like, oh, he crunching people. Okay, this is what we doing. All right. And so I can't say nothing much about the defense. They was getting to Jaden Daniels. Hurt his hand a little bit. Secondary, because Reed got another interception. Mitchell stopped another elite receiver of getting big catches. He got another one on his hands next week, or Sunday night, I should say. Whether it's going to be Puka or Cooper Kupp, either one of them. But secondary got a. I still like their game. They can be in that. They can take it up another notch a little bit. Q definitely, hopefully he gets an interception. But overall, I mean, it was solid. The second half is where things came to light. That first half, we was like, what are we watching? So they got better in the second half. So they play like this in all 4 quarters, I won't be having heart problems.
Right. Exactly. What about you, DV?
I expected the game to go like how it went because it was a divisional rival. They know us like we know them, regardless of who's the head coach, who's the quarterback. I didn't expect for us to play that sloppy in the first half. Offensively, defensively, we were lights out, man. We made their guy, their rookie of the year before Bo Nix went off, and now he's in the running too. But we made that guy look like a rookie. We made him look like he was throwing at people's feet. He was throwing too low. He was kind of nervous. We took his number 1 receiver out the game, Quinyon Mitchell. I know all of us brought it up. Quinyon Mitchell, I think he was targeted. I don't know how many times, but wasn't no catches made on him. He was keeping up with Scary Terry. The only catch that I've really seen Scary Terry make was on Cooper DeJean, and that was like going out of bounds, and that was them trying to come back. I think Zach Ertz had more yards than Scary Terry. But we were just being disruptive all game. And that's what you want from that type of scheme of Vic Fangio runs. Just keeping everything in front of you, like you said earlier, and just making sure that, a guy like Noah Brown doesn't get off, or, Zach Ertz, just in front of you. As soon as he caught the ball, it's a tackle. I feel like that's how they were beating teams. Yeah, like Diva said, we watched how the Steelers ran it a little bit better, but you can also take some. Well, I think Vic took some key points from the Ravens game. I think he took some key points out of the Bears game. The Bears played great defense. I'm not saying that it was great. It was a great game overall because they're going to say it because of the Hail Mary, but I feel like that the defensive scheme from the Bears was good. You could tell that Jada Dams was still dealing with the rib injury. On the flip side, the offensive line. You got to give big ups to the offensive line. I know we got Saquon Barkley run through them holes better than any of the past 2 running backs that we had. You know what I'm saying? So, but Jordan Mailata got it together in the second half. Being rusty, just being out. Mekhi Becton got it together in the second half. Cam Jurgens was just a beast the whole game. And so was Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson didn't give up any pressures. So I just think, this team is one of those teams that's just going to adjust. And that's what I feel like that's going to happen this next game. I think it's going to be an adjustment. How fast they do it is yet to be seen, but I feel like that it's going to be an adjustment period. But I'm happy how the Washington game turned out. And Reed did get that interception, just like he did against Aaron Rodgers. That was his first one, and then it still looked the same. But overall, I expect nothing different, man. I expect no blowout from against the Commanders. I expect none of that. I felt like, even the past couple years they played this hard, so I feel like that the game went how it was supposed to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, anytime you have a divisional game, I expect it to be tough, and then you add the element of them having a great record, which we were kind of expecting them to be decent, but we weren't expecting them to be fighting with us for that number 1 spot. But yeah, defense played lights out. Like you said, DV, they were making him actually look like the rookie that he is. He was turning in the check down Charlie that night. He was throwing to everybody that was right in front of him. So, I mean, the defense, there's really not much to say. I mean, they were just locked down the majority of the time. They were getting the stops they needed. The offense, definitely, they've looked like they've looked most of the season as far as the first half is concerned. Just for some reason, they just can't they have trouble getting momentum in like the first couple drives. And I mean, of course, you had Jalen Hurts possibly concussed, and then you have possibly an ankle injury on top of that, but he seemed like he was running decent. He had that amazing run for the first down where he put the ball exactly where it needed to be for the first down, or he dove. It was an amazing play. It seems like anytime that the team's kind of down bad or the offense isn't cooking, Jalen knows exactly what needs to happen to kind of get them in rhythm, whether if it's with his legs or with his arm. I feel like we're seeing a lot of the same designs and plays each and every week. I just wish the offense would utilize a little bit more concepts, or you do something different each and every week. Maybe they're saving a lot of things towards the back half of the season or once they get into playoffs. But like, I feel like we're seeing a lot of these like out routes, like you mentioned earlier, to AJ Brown. We see that a lot each game. Luckily, we haven't seen many screens each game because we're not very good at those screens. So, I mean, we see like 1 or 2 a game, and it seems like they've been kind of working because we haven't been doing them as much recently. Depends on who they go to as well. I mean, if you go screen to Goddard, it's probably going to take it a couple yards or maybe a first down. But if you throw it to like Smitty or somebody, or Anaya Smith, where you have them running behind, it doesn't seem like we're gaining a lot of yards that way. I'd just like to see a little bit more creativity as far as the offense is concerned. I know they want to run the ball. It seems like they're actually wanting to have that as like the dynamic for the offense. They're a run first offense now, which I'm finally glad that they're kind of settling in with. A lot of these teams are stacking the box early to stop Saquon, and that seems to be working for the most part. But as the course of these games run out, they can only do so much until they start getting worn down and tired. And then that's when he starts breaking out these runs. I think he even said that in the after game review. He's like, you can have me touch the ball 20 times or whatever, but all I need is 1 or 2 to break loose. And that's it. That's over at that point. And I mean, you saw that towards the end of the game. I just wish that they would utilize some more like middle of the field and smaller route concepts. I've mentioned this over the past couple of weeks. Like we saw it in this game specifically with AJ and I think Smitty at one point. They have like these little small slant routes, and they were good for like 10 yards or 15 yards or something. But they don't really go back to that at all. They don't really go back to what's working as far as like these little slants or little small concepts that they're running. They kind of wait. I don't know if it's Jalen or if it's the play design, but they kind of wait for these bigger plays to open up. And whether if they have enough time, that's on the offensive line. But sometimes, like we mentioned, Jalen ends up holding the ball a little too long, or he runs out of the pocket. And instead of continuing to run like he should, he waits a little longer just to see if somebody gets open. And then he either takes a sack or ends up throwing the ball away. And it's like what Diva was saying, like you hike that ball 1, 2, 3, you either throw it or you're running it. Like it seems like he's very indecisive at certain times. Like there's a lot of times where he should be running it. You could easily get 5 yards or maybe get the first down, but he's just holding that ball just a little too long, just hoping that somebody's going to get open or somebody's going to get, towards the sideline or something. I don't know. I don't know if that's just a Jalen issue or if that's like a play calling or design type thing, but I don't know. I just like to see a little bit more creativity as far as the offense is concerned. I feel like that would help out in these early parts of the game in the first quarter or second quarter. Because I mean, the second half of these games, we don't really have to worry about too much. It seems like by the second half, this team is up and rolling as they should be. They just need to figure out something to get the ball rolling way sooner. I don't care if you got to get a field goal or hopefully a touchdown in that first quarter. We got to get something, because the way that they're playing now, I don't know if that's going to be sustainable going into a playoff atmosphere, going against a top team like Detroit or something. It's going to be hard to play like that against one of the top teams in the NFL. So hopefully they get that cleared up sooner or later. I mean, there's a lot of season left though to get that figured out. But I mean, it's hard to complain when your team is like 8-2, top of the NFC East, second in the NFC as of right now. But I mean, this was a damn good win, I would say, against a decent team. I'm not going to go out here and like trash the Commanders or anything, even though they're a divisional rival. They're a good team. And I feel like this may not be their year, obviously, because I mean, you have a rookie quarterback. I think they're going to exceed expectations of what they were expected to do. But man, I think they're going to be set throughout the next couple of years, depending on how the GMs and everybody else on the team, how they build it going forward for them. But I don't think it's anything that they need to like put their heads down about. I think they're going to have a good team going forward. But sorry, this is the Eagles. This is the Eagles team. This is the Eagles year. We're number one. We're going to control it, hopefully, for the rest of the season here. So going into the next topic for the night is Saquon Barkley. He's in a lot of conversations for MVP as of right now. What do you think the possibility is, or what do you think he has to do to possibly claim that MVP title?
Keep doing what he's doing. Just keep doing what he's doing. I think him and Derrick Henry have the most yards this year so far. So, I mean, he's not on that trashy field like he was in New York. So he really ain't got to worry about too much. But just keep doing what he's doing. Just keep running hard, putting his head down and churning them legs. That boy would churn them legs and churn them. And yeah, just keep doing it. Like, it's really nothing you can say what he could do better, because I mean, he's doing everything that he can do. As far as a running back, we already knew Saquon was a good running back when he played with Penn State. He had his spurts out there in New York, but of course that's a trashy field, so it's hard to really maintain and be, what you are on that type of field. But with him being in Philadelphia, like, I think he really is going to take over. You still got to watch out for Derrick Henry, because that boy is just a monster, and we got to play them coming up soon. But yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing perfect.
Key.
Yeah, sums it up. I know everybody's like, oh, Saquon could have about 14 touchdowns if it wasn't for, him, stopping or getting close to the goal line, and what happens after that touch push time. But he loves it. He said, bring it on. Like, he's not fazed by the touch, him not getting the ball to the touch push. But I did see Nick saying that he wanted to get him involved more in the goal line, possibly. But he's doing fine. Keep doing what he's doing. I mean, I would love to see somebody else besides a quarterback win all the time. Maybe a running back. Haven't seen one since Adrian Peterson done it. So, I mean, it can be done. So, he does need to be involved in the talks, in the conversation. He's playing very, very well, which I knew he would behind this offensive line. And, yeah, he definitely could be an MVP or, in the conversation.
Mm-hmm. DV?
We know that, and when the SBs come about, he's going to have Player of the Year. It's only a certain amount of times that you see Madden stop what they're doing and add that animation into the game. So he's going to have that. But just politics as usual. I feel like that, he should be in the conversation. I think him and Jalen both should be in the conversation. But unfortunately, it's a quarterback, type of award. I feel like that a running back has to do a lot more. Adrian Peterson, when he won, it was more so that he broke records and he was just like carrying. Like, if Saquon Barkley carried the Giants, then he would have been flat out MVP. But this is the Eagles. You still have AJ Brown and everything. Even how great Saquon Barkley has been, they could hold that against him as well. But I think Saquon Barkley not even looking at that. He's just trying to help this team win. He's a humble guy. But he does need to be in a conversation. I think that just alone the whole thing about when Nick came over to him and he said, no, let the young guys eat. He could have actually broke a record, and he was like, no.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That shows something. You know what I'm saying? But going to Key's point, shout out to Jalen Hurts first and foremost, Philadelphia School District. Public school district with these touchdowns and everything. He was just on Good Morning America. So the tush push is helping, but at the same time, I understand that you don't want to put your quarterback in harm's way. And Saquon Barkley does need to get those touches. I don't want to see Kenneth Gainwell on the goal line. I do not want to see Kenneth Gainwell on the goal line. 100%. But overall, Saquon Barkley does need to be in the conversation of MVP. Yes, we have been this great before with the Miles Sanders and the DeAndre Swifts of the world, but Saquon Barkley is just taking his team to new heights, especially with the offense not playing to the standard of 2022, and Saquon Barkley is still just being him with this healthy offensive line, a Stoutland University offensive line. We already knew it was a match made in heaven, and now he's just showing us. He don't really have that many passing yards, but the running game has been on point. So he needs to be in the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. With possibility to get Saquon doing a tush push instead of Jalen at some point. Get Saquon.
I thought about that. They run a wildcat,
or something.
A wildcat at the goal line. It just,
he definitely did it. Well, he's turning them legs now.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody could do it, he could do it.
Obvious though, they're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna Saquon's getting it, But you never know, they might do some type of version like that.
Yeah, I mean, like DV said, MVP, as far as it's concerned, it definitely goes to quarterbacks more often than not. I mean, I think if Saquon ends up going the way that he's going, because I mean, he broke Eagles records as far as like rushing yards in the first like 10 games or something, I believe. And I mean, he's only like 70 yards like shorter than Derrick Henry right now, and Derrick Henry hasn't even had a bye week yet, which is crazy. So I mean, I think Saquon's probably going to pass him as the season goes on. So I mean, I think he's already above him as far as all-purpose yards, because I don't think Derrick Henry's receiving like out of the backfield as much as Saquon is every now and then. But I mean, it's going to be hard for him to win MVP because they're always going to look at quarterbacks, probably like Josh Allen, depending on how the rest of his season turns out, or something, or Lamar. Who knows? But it's going to be hard for anybody other than a quarterback to win the MVP. But I think if anybody could, it's Saquon. Because I mean, depending on how the rest of the season goes, say if they don't have to sit players through like the last couple of games and they do have to play the starters, I think Saquon could easily have like over 2,000 yards rushing. It'd be crazy. And at that point, like, it's going to be hard to not give him the MVP at that point. But who knows how it is as far as QBs are concerned in the league.
Jalen should always be in that talk, but you know they be hating Jalen, get the most hate out of the NFL than anybody.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's insane. The double standard. They were celebrating Jared Goff for throwing 5 interceptions and winning a game, but Jalen doesn't look good for a half and he gets scrutinized like crazy.
And it starts here. It starts in Philly. They basically on the radio. Is Jalen Hurts the guy? You know, is he going to be the Eagles' downfall? You know, we hear everything. He can't throw better than Baker Mayfield out of all people you name, right? Baker Mayfield. They say he can't throw better than who was the other one? Jared Goff was another one. I think that he can make those throws, but then if you make those throws and then the defensive player makes a good play, now it's like, oh, he's still turning the ball over. So it's damn if you do, damn if you don't, basically. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that, Jalen Hurts gets a lot of hate because, number one, first and foremost, he's a Philadelphia Eagle. Number two, he's been do turmoil before, trials and tribulations in the collegiate stage. He lost his spot to Tua, and it was a lot of things that happened there. And then third, I just think that guys like Nick Wright and everything, I think they look at him as a threat because of what he did in the Super Bowl.
Man, Nick Wright boy, I'm gonna shut up.
But they look at him as a threat. They look at him as a threat. So it's like, oh, the Eagles are supposed to be all this and that. And the third, Jalen Hurts had 2 interceptions. But like you said, Jared Goff had 5. That's fine. Patrick Mahomes just last week had 2.
Yeah,
that's cool. He's still
interceptions right now.
That's what I'm saying. They're not talking about that though. They're not talking about Lamar Jackson. Yes, he has 3 interceptions, but he's missing receivers as well. The only receiver he seems to find down in a clutch is Zay Flowers. He don't find Bateman like that. Bateman be wide open and he miss him. So that's what I'm saying, that we with a keen eye, we look at probably national sports media, local sports media, they look at him with a keen eye and just like, oh, Jalen needs to make this throw. Jalen needs to do this. Jalen needs to hit. These quarterbacks are human. All week 11, we seen guys being missed. I'm like, yo, he had him wide open. Why he didn't go for him? But we can only see from the TV. We're not seeing what the quarterbacks feel. You know what I'm saying? I said people that's great in quarterbacks and everything like that should have that VR game. When you're the quarterback and you just see in the view, and then you can understand what these quarterbacks are seeing. Some of these linemen are bigger than Jalen Hurts. So it's like, okay, if these guys standing up, then it's like, oh, I gotta look over him, try to hit AJ. Now, I can't see. Now I'm belling out. Now I understand sometimes, the bell out on why it happens, but like Diva said, you got to make a decision quick because these are NFL players. These players is not playing with you. They know you're a threat. So now they're going to look to hurt you. They're going to look to sit up there and make you the weakest link, because they're going to even make you want to pass, a throw to like Jahan Dotson. They're going to cover everybody else. Jahan Dotson, your guy. We know you don't have chemistry with him, and it's up to Jahan Dotson to make the right run the right route, and not had no lazy routes. I've seen him on the all 22 have lazy routes. But back to Jalen, I think that Jalen, he's tuned up for it, all the hatred and everything like that, man. But this feels like a lot of 2017 when they was hating on the whole team, and then we got that speech from Jason Kelsey. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
all I'm
it
gonna
seems
say.
like Jalen knows how to adjust.
You know, Jalen.
Like you were saying, a lot of people don't know how hard it is to be a QB, and because of what they're seeing from their perspective. Look at the beginning of the season, like those first 3 or 4 games, we were seeing not a lot, but we were seeing balls get batted down at the line that Jalen was throwing, and then he had to adjust, and we haven't really seen that a lot since. He's been able to figure out how to maneuver and get the ball over the line without being blocked or hit down. That was something he was able to kind of fix within his game. And I feel like that there's other elements that he's been able to fix as well, but he's just going to keep adjusting and getting better as the season progresses here.
But his deep ball, I did see an article about his deep ball. Like he's probably got the best deep ball throw right now, which he does. Like his deep ball throw has been amazing this year.
Mm-hmm. I think he has like the highest percentage as far as like 20+ yard touchdowns or 20+ yard receptions or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Even though people was talking about that, the deep pass that he threw the Devontae Smith when he dragged his legs, they said that was out of bounds, and that was a great play by Devontae. Like they can't give anything to Jalen.
Yeah, that was in bounds. Like, come on now.
But still,
I don't think. Didn't Jalen say he didn't even know like what happened? He didn't know he had the touchdown or anything. He just kind of threw it because he couldn't.
He caught the ball. He caught the ball. He caught the ball with one hand. Oh, I didn't even know. I just threw it.
I just threw it.
Or that one where he caught in the end zone. I mean, he perfectly threw that to Devontae, like right and led Devontae to it on top of that. So I mean, like Jalen does. I mean, he has a good deep ball. I mean, because last year it was horrible. This year it's a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a lot of credit to Kellen Moore, and I hate to say it, but credit to Sirianni for actually giving the offensive coordinator control over the game, over what plays are called in the game plan itself, I feel. But yeah, we have a big Sunday night matchup, another primetime game coming up here against the Los Angeles Rams. I believe we are 3-0 against the Rams since they moved to LA and in LA. So it's a big game here, a lot on the line. As far as like the Rams are concerned, we just trying to hold on to that first place in NFC East, trying to hopefully Detroit loses in the next couple weeks, maybe possibly get that number 1 spot in the NFC. But as far as the Eagles versus Rams preview, what can the Eagles defense do to stop the Rams offense? And we'll go to DV this time first.
Jordan Davis has to be Jordan Davis. Stop the run, and then create lanes because they're going to start double teaming once he does that. Create lanes for your linebackers, your edge rushers, so they could be able to have tackle for losses. That starts there, and then on top of that, you got Q on the outside, you got Slay on the outside. Hopefully, he stay healthy for the full game. And like I said, it has to be not giving them that just keeping them in front of them, basically the secondary. But yeah, that's basically it. Jalen Carter has to be disruptive. Like I said, I got him player of the game for me. Hopefully Milton Williams can play so it could be, that strength on the line that we need. But that foot didn't look good. It didn't. I don't know if he's going to play. Hopefully he's limited in practice tomorrow, and then he has a shot. But yeah, I think the defense is going to show up. I don't think they're going to take both of the guys out of the game in Puka Nacua and Cooper Rush, but I do think that one of those guys is going to be shut down, and that's all you need really on defense. Now, they running back, yes, if he start going, then it opens up everything else for that offense, and then like you said earlier, Matthew Stafford could get the ball out quickly, stop the pass rush. But I do think that with Bryce Huff out, Nolan Smith would get a lot more snaps. I was hoping that Jelix Hunt can show his talent this game, but you see he got an ankle injury as well. Hopefully he does play, because we're gonna need that hybrid. We're gonna need that hybrid DE taking some of the snaps, especially on 3rd and longs. But overall, man, I think this is gonna be a a challenge for Vic, and I think he's up for it. I think that he probably seen some things that didn't work. On a 500 team, that you've seen a lot of good snaps against them. So we'll see how it goes. But I got this defense, and think about it. We had, what was that, last year? Just a year removed, we beat this team, and I know they had Aaron Donald at the time. Bradley Roby, Eli Ricks. These guys had great games, man. You don't think Cooper DeJean is going to have a good game? That's what I'm saying. We have a way better and stern defense and a defensive coordinator. And then on top of that, these guys, the vets on the team, like Josh Sweat, Slay, Brandon Graham, they're playing for these guys. And I think speaking of Brandon Graham, I think his snaps is going to go up as well. But it's yet to be seen. But I'm not really. I was more nervous about Washington than this game. I think that you're going to see the highlights from the Rams and everything like that. But I think the adjustment's going to hit. I think it's going to be like every other game. It's going to start out, we're going to be frustrated, and then we're going to adjust it. Then they're not going to be able to score. And I don't think that I think we were averaging between 13 and 15 points a game, giving up. I believe. I think it's going to be slightly above. It's going to be like 17 points. That's another story when we get to the score prediction. But overall, I think the defense is going to show up.
Okay. What about you, Keith?
Well, I know it's going to be hard to keep Cooper and Puka in check. Just don't get beat on the deep balls or the big plays. Keep Williams in check. We get pressure on Matthew Stafford. I think it'll be good. He can get the ball out pretty fast. I think if you don't give him no time to do anything, he won't be able to even throw to his main guys. Offensively, we just got to get going in the first quarter because their defense isn't that bad. Their defense is respectable. They do have a rookie on the other side in Jared Verse. So I mean, get the offensive rolling. We should win this game.
Okay, Diva.
I think our defense will do fine. I know last year when we played them, I think we kind of kept Cooper Kupp under containment. It was just Puka Nacua that we had some issues with. But I see the D line being on top. And I noticed last week we didn't play 5 or 10 yards off. I'll expect that this week not to be playing far off your man. Keep him in front of you. Make sure you know who you're supposed to be covering. Watch the routes. And just play that hard D. I mean, Nolan Smith going to be in there. And really all you got to do is get pressure on Matthew Stafford and make him scared. And once he gets scared, then it's over for them. He's not going to be accurate with the ball as we see. So yeah, just make sure that and we've been playing really good on the deep balls. Lately, we've been doing really good with the running game, shutting that down. So just keep doing what you're doing, making sure your man's in front of you, making sure you're covering, making sure you're watching Matthew Stafford. So if he's trying to lead a receiver, then, just like Blankenship got in there and was watched Jaden Daniels actually try to find his receiver and got that interception. So I expect a few interceptions because Matthew Stafford does like to throw those a lot. So I do expect a few interceptions with this defense, the way that we've been playing. Vic Fangio, of course, is going to watch film. Rams really haven't been that good in the past couple of years, so it's really not going to be hard to really contain them. You got to watch Puka Nacua. I think Cooper Kupp is getting old. You know what I'm saying? He ain't what he used to be about 2 or 3 years ago. So I think we can contain him, especially with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean and CJ GJ getting back to where he was. So yeah, man, I think it's gonna be a pretty good game. I don't think we're gonna blow them out, but I know that defense is gonna contain them. Zach Bond gonna be all over the field like he always is, probably up in Matthew Stafford's face a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is going to depend on the defensive line because the offensive line for the Rams isn't the greatest. So I think as long as we're creating pressure, I think we're going to need a big game out of Josh Sweat, who's been coming alive over these past couple weeks. Nolan Smith, who's been really decent, and like DV said, Brandon Graham, who's been playing solid really all season long. he's been playing so good. He's been even contemplating not retiring after the season. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think as long as defensive line is creating pressure and getting to Matthew Stafford, like you mentioned, he's going to be making those dumb decisions to either throw in interceptions or he's going to force him to, throw the check down routes, which that'll be kind of playing into exactly what we want him to do, playing the game that we want them to play. Because that's exactly what we were doing against Washington and Jaden. He was throwing those check downs and they were right there to stop him wherever they were at, as far as like Bond or Cooper DeJean. So I think the defense can control them and kind of make them play the game that they want to play. But exactly like what you guys are saying, we cannot have them, taking these huge deep bombs across the field, or we can't be having these huge plays happen. And I think with the secondary we have, we're not going to be seeing that as much. But I think they're going to certainly be trying that, especially with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. But I mean, like everybody just mentioned, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, they got to shut down that run game. I think as long as you shut down that run game and you're forcing them to throw, I think they'll be right exactly where we want them at that point. So, I mean, I'm not as concerned about the defense. I think we'll be able to go out there and continue the streak of what we've been doing as far as defense over these past 5-6 weeks now. I think they'll have another solid game on their hands. Hopefully Quinyon can get that interception. It's going to happen by the season's end, hopefully. And if it doesn't happen by the season's end, we for sure need it in the playoffs at some point, because that's going to be one hell of an interception if it happens in the playoffs.
I do hope on a coin flip. I do hope, just last thing, on the coin flip, I do hope and pray that the Rams get the ball first.
Yeah,
the defense don't like that.
So we'll flip it around here. What can the Eagles offense do against the Rams defense here? And we'll actually go the opposite way. We'll go with Diva this time.
Oh, we need to get started early. Jalen needs to be, again, when he played against Dallas, he was getting the ball off pretty quick. It was 1-2-3 throw, 1-2-3 run. If he can't run, then that means you need to use your running backs. Especially with the ankle injury. He don't need to put no extra pressure on that ankle if he can't, you know what I'm saying? Get off and take off and run. But we got to definitely get started earlier. Like you said earlier, why we can't keep sustaining or be sustainable by not, scoring in the first half. Trying to get started in the second half. So we got to find a way. I know Jalen said that he wants to be better in the red zone. Because sometimes we do stall in the red zone when we get there. And I think that's where you use Saquon. That's really where I think you use Saquon, is in that red zone, because we know, we watched him in New York, and that's where he really got his touchdowns, in the red zone. So, yeah, use him. I mean, and Noel has been gaining pretty decent lately. And I still would like to see Will Shipley. I don't know why we're not incorporating him. I feel like on some of the plays that you use Saquon, you can use Will Shipley. I mean, he's a big body. I mean, and, he played the way he played in Clemson. Like, he get loose, he gone, and he out, and he get touchdowns. So I really would like to see them incorporate Will Shipley a little bit more into the offense than just using him when we, sit the players down if we, up a big lead. But yeah, just make sure that, Jalen, don't hold the ball too long, bro, and just don't be running backwards, man. When you run out the pocket, just don't run backwards, because, that's the problem. And then you get sacked, and then we got all these other issues. So get the ball out quick. Get comfortable, because he just didn't look comfortable. He was hesitating on some plays. Get comfortable. If you don't feel right, just hand the ball off and let either Gainwell or Saquon run the ball until you feel like you can get comfortable. But other than that, I just think that the O-line's been playing good. I just think that Jalen needs to, make a little better decisions and not hold on the ball so long.
Keith?
Smart decision making. You don't need no turnovers in this game. Besides that 1 or 2 turnovers he had, was it the Dallas game? He had the interception. Just play smart. The ball out quick, make decisions. Like Diva said, if you don't see nobody, tuck it and run. Just don't bail out of the reads so quick, because he's so quick to roll out instead of looking. Just give it some more time, a little bit. If you can't find anybody in your reads, then go ahead and tuck it and run, or just throw it away. Don't take the sack. Just throw it away.
Please.
Throw it away. Just get rid of it. Get Saquon going early, I feel like you get the running game early, no matter who it is. Jalen get some runs in. If you're going to use Gainwell, if you're going to use Saquon, start the running game early. beat on that defensive line, break them down early. So when it's time to really get that gut punch, it's going to be over. Like the games will be out of reach. We just keep wearing them down. They're going to break and bend. Running game sets up the passing game. I feel like we can get some not long balls in, but some good chunk yards in. Receivers should have a good day. Everybody should eat Sunday. I feel like it's not going to be a blowout. I feel like it's going to be closer than people think it is. So just get started early. Smart decisions. Please, no sacks, no turnovers. You should win this game.
Okay, DV.
Control the pass rush. That's what they're good at. They're good at rushing the passer. The last couple of weeks, they've been good. And basically play off of wherever Jared Verse is. You know, he's going to have a lot of issues with Jordan Mailata, even if they flip him over to Lane Johnson's side, Mekhi Becton, so forth. He's going to have a lot of issues. This is another guy that we got to look at as, you know, make him look like a rookie, make him make those mental mistakes. They have another rookie as well in the secondary that I feel like that makes a difference in a pass game, pass coverage. But Jalen Hurts has to be smart. Hold on to the ball. Make sure you throw the ball away. Don't take a sack. Let us see another down. You know, I think, you know, I feel like I'm going backwards saying that like in like 2021, 2023, just let us see another down. Stop trying to be making that hero ball. I know you guys can win it outside on the double moves, but you got to, you know, take what the defense is giving you, you know, underneath, you know, check downs. You just got to do certain things to get you in that rhythm. And then I wouldn't be mad if he takes, you know, a shot, you know, with one of his guys. Dallas Goedert needs to be your best friend. Honestly, when times get rough to the point where AJ Brown is getting double teamed and all the receivers is open, Dallas Goedert is possibly on a linebacker or a defensive end. He could probably win those matchups. You don't need him to do yards after catch because, you know, he cannot unhook the trailer for nothing. But I know that Dallas Goedert will make the catch and get us some first downs, and then that will open up everything else. The offensive line just got to stay the course. You know, keep the pressure from Jalen Hurts so he can have that time in the pocket. So just like Keith said, not just rolling out just because the last couple plays your man got beat. You know, I feel like it's a mental thing with him. He did that with Fred Johnson. He did that with Mekhi Becton. And then when Mekhi Becton went down, did do that with Tyler Steen as well. And then also just, you know, stop holding the ball, like Diva said. Just stop holding the ball. Hopefully, you know, Kellen Moore has some quick and simplified route runs for these receivers, because we don't need it to just be drawn out, because you're given the opportunity for defensive backs to make a play. You know what I'm saying? So just simplify it, you know, and then we can open things up. We don't have to sit up there and go for the deep pass in the first half. You know, first half is where we struggle at. I want to see a clean first half. Not to say that the Rams is going to be any slouches, but it needs to be clean. You know, that's what I want to see. Because I know we can make those adjustments, but just a clean first half. Hopefully, you know, we get out of there on top. And hopefully we do get the ball first so we can see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to add. I mean, everybody pretty much covered everything. I mean, I would just like to see Jalen spread the ball around a little bit more. I mean, of course, you have AJ you can lean on from time to time. Who knows what Smitty's status will be? I'm assuming he's going to play, even though he has that hamstring injury. Maybe he'll be limited in practice this week, but I'm sure he'll end up playing at some point. But like DV is saying, I wouldn't mind them going to Dallas Goedert a little bit more, because I mean, there seems they struggle a little bit. We don't really utilize the tight end position as much as we used to over the past how many years. It would be nice for them to lean on Goddard a little bit, have him schemed open a little bit more. I wouldn't mind seeing that. And as far as like the run game, I wouldn't mind them, you know, rotating the backs a little bit more. I mean, Gainwell has been decent recently. I would like to see Shipley being used, like Devo was saying, other than, you know, in the back half of games when we're blowing teams out, because it seems like a lot of these games recently, we're using Saquon to get us down the field. And by the time we get to the red zone, he's tired. He's got to come out. And then Gainwell's in the red zone. It's like, that is not a position I want to see Gainwell in. I would rather see Saquon in that red zone to help us out. So, I mean, I would definitely try to see if you can rotate those backs a little bit more when you're on those long drives going down the field. And then that way Saquon's ready to go once you hit the red zone, whether you're running with him or not. That way he's available. But yeah, I mean, Hurts, as everybody mentioned, just got to stop holding on the ball nearly as long. Stop playing hero ball. Go to your first option as soon as you see him open. If you don't be afraid to take the check downs if you have to. I know Jalen's looking for the bigger play, but if there's somebody there that's open, you got to throw in the ball. Take what the defense is giving you at that point. But other than that, I mean, I'm not as worried about this game. I mean, the Rams do have some weapons. Matthew Stafford's a great quarterback. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He can throw the ball. But I think as long as the defense has been playing lights out, continues to play lights out like they have been over this season, I think they'll be able to hold the Rams a lot more than they'll be able to hold our offense, depending on if the Eagles actually end up shooting themselves in the foot like they tend to do often, whether it's, flags like, offsides or just other flags in general. It seems like there's certain drives we end up shooting ourselves in the foot. Either it's defense or offense, more offense and defense. But as long as we're able to stop our self-inflicted wounds, I think as long as we start off getting some points, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown on that first drive, I think we'll be able to get out to a comfortable lead and hopefully be able to keep that by running the ball, open up for play action a little bit more. Then you'll have those ability to go to those big plays, but just take what the defense is giving you. That's what we've been preaching all season here. Is there any other thoughts as far as this Eagles versus Rams game before we head out?
Go Birds and just play smart, man. Y'all know it.
Yeah.
Need this W. Keep it flying high.
Exactly. Because, we already got that one spot in the NFC East. We're going for that number one spot in the NFC because it's right for the taking. And you know what they say.
But the cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
As cool as it here, I had to have that.
That's my jail right there.
Yeah, something.
We also got a message for the Los Angeles Rams here before we go.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So, DV, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
King DV Sports on all social media platforms. King DV Sports on YouTube. We do have a show tomorrow inside the Nest. Tune in 7:00. We had to move the show around. But, as always, go Birds, fly, Eagles, fly. Of course, thanks for having me first and foremost. And just love talking Eagles with you guys.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for joining the show. Key, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Well, it's Key, and I'm always in the building. Key in the building on all platforms, YouTube, Instagram, all that good jazz. 7,200 seconds with my guy, Coach Conte, comes on every Wednesdays. Trying to get to that 100th episode. We just finished out 96 today. So we got 3 more to go. Got a fun little giveaway with the 100th episode. So yeah, it's gonna be fun, but you can always find me. I might pop up here occasionally from time to time. I'm doing pretty good though.
Yeah.
Like,
the show here.
So
Yeah. We gotta pop up on DV show. Pop up, do a pop up.
Yeah.
As everybody knows, I'm Wyatt, and of course, Eagles Diva. We here every week at this point. And for those who haven't already, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to go check us out wherever, social media. I know we're on Instagram and all that, but YouTube.
Angels Radio as well. Shout out to Angels Radio for
exactly. Yep, had to have that plug in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, of course, make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Fly Eagles Fly. #Be Elite. Go Birds. All that. Hopefully Eagles come out and get this dub against the Rams on Sunday night. That way we have a great show to talk about next week, and we'll see you then.